Let us move over to the featherweight division now, where we got Pat Sabatini coming in at minus 185. He goes up against William Gomis, who comes in at plus 160. Now, Sabatini is slowly separating himself from that knockout loss that he suffered at the hands of Diego Lopez. He came back with a submission victory over Jonathan Pierce, and then he managed to grind out both Joanderson Brito and Chepe Mariscal over his next two fights. His last one was against Mariscal, where he landed 7 takedowns and accrued 10.5 minutes of control time, a fight that was a rematch of one that I believe he had lost earlier in his career by split decision. But it's clear that Sabatini is working on ways to get to his grappling a little bit more effectively, trying to get those dominant positions, trying to control positions and keep opponents on the ground. Once he gets the back of his opponents, it's almost a wrap in terms of him finding a submission or grinding out the rest of that round and keeping opponents in bad positions. It's clear that his striking is what needs the best most work in his fights. I believe through his last 3 fights, he's landed a total of 39 significant strikes during this 3-fight winning streak, which has lasted over 34 minutes. So almost more minutes than significant strikes that he's landed in his last 3 fights. But he's also landed 13 takedowns in those 3 fights. Again, remember, he did get that second round submission over Jonathan Pierce. He is 35 years old, so that is something else to keep an eye on. But considering the skill level and the performances we've been getting from him as of late, he's been looking damn good, right? Especially the Mariscal fight. You know, that was one where I thought Mariscal was going to be able to scramble well enough to get out of some of these positions, but Sabatini had almost no issues there. He was controlling it pretty easily and went on to win that fight by decision. Now he goes on goes up against a tough Frenchman here in William Gomis, who managed to get back into the win column last time around as he took out Robert Ruchala by decision. Now that was a fight where he was coming off a split decision loss against Haider Emil, who successfully halted the 12-fight winning streak of Gomis. Prior to that, Gomis's last defeat had come against Morgan Sherrier, but that was, I believe, his only 4th fight into being a pro, whereas Sherrier had a little bit more experience than him. But on the come up, he was a guy that used to utilize a smothering grappling approach to really muzzle opponents on the ground. But as he starts coming into the UFC, he's started to lean more so on his striking as he's gone out there, utilize his footwork, utilize his range. 6 foot, 73-inch reach as well for this division is pretty long, pretty lanky usually, and he does a good job with his kickboxing to keep opponents at bay. You know, in the Ruchala fight, he won the first and third rounds with his striking, sticking and moving, stopping the takedowns of Ruchala. But we saw once the takedown did occur in the second round for Ruchala, that's where Gomis did seem to struggle a bit in terms of getting back to his game. But luckily, he was able to, get back to his feet in that third round and eventually outwork Ruchala to get the win. He is definitely better than I originally gave him credit for when he first came into the UFC. I remember fading him with a lock of the night play with Francis Marshall, and I still believe Marshall probably deserved to win that fight, but it still played out much closer than I expected to. But he showed decent striking there. I believe if Marshall went for his takedowns a little bit harder earlier in that fight, he probably would have won it, but Gomis obviously benefited from him not attacking it earlier. It's clear Gomis has been working on his defensive grappling, especially getting the mentorship and the guidance of Benoit Saint-Denis' coach. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he's done a great job in terms of making Saint-Denis become a better fighter, and obviously the defensive grappling is going to be a big thing for him here as he takes on Pat Sabatini. Now, binary fight, right? Sabatini looking for grappling, looking for takedowns, looking to smother Gomis, maybe look for submissions or at least win this on the scorecards, whereas Gomis is going to be looking to stick and move, threaten with knees up the middle, threaten with uppercuts, not stay in a stationary manner, because if he stays still, that is an easy entry for Sabatini to initiate the clinch or a level change, drag the fight to the ground, and try to have his success that way. It's possible Gomis can improve his grappling defense enough specifically for this fight to try to force Sabatini to strike with him long enough to eventually find that big shot to put Sabatini away. Right? Both of Sabatini's UFC losses have come by first round KO. When he's not able to get to his grappling quickly enough, he's a little bit of a liability in the striking realm, and Gomis is definitely a guy that can take full advantage of that and eventually find a finish of his own. I don't think Gomis is a crazy good finisher, so I don't think he has big knockout power that Sabatini really needs to worry about. But there are going to be traps that Gomis will be looking to set that Sabatini has to be very wary of, especially when he initiates the clinch. I'm still going to go with Sabatini here. I think the line is kind of correct here at -185. His grappling threat is just so dangerous, right? Especially with how he was able to implement it against Joannis and Britu, how he did it against a very good scrambler like Chepe Mariscal. I find it hard to believe that Gomis will be able to get to his or keep the fight standing long enough to take advantage with his striking advantage there. Thus, I'm going to go with Sabatini here. I'm going to wait fight week out, see where this line goes, because I could absolutely see some love coming in on Gomis. I know people are going to be drooling over the fact that Gomis is training with BSD's coach. I don't think it's going to make all that much of an impact. If Sabatini gets down to about -150, I'll be happy to shoot on him there at 60% implied, as I think he should be 65-70%, especially with how dominant of a grappler he is. So I'm going to go Sabatini here. Sabatini by decision, but he needs to get that takedown if he hopes to stay away from the striking danger of William Gomis.